This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Okay, Bruchim Haba and welcome everyone. B'Shem Hashem, Na'aseh v'Natzliach. Okay, so today's Shiur is being sponsored on behalf of a program called Daily Giving, which, as we're before Rosh Hashanah and we're trying to amass Zechusim, it's actually a remarkable opportunity where basically one contributes $1 a day and it's distributed. Each day you get an email where your dollar goes, and it goes to all the various tzedakahs. It's distributed to a whole long list of tzedakahs, Bonei Olam and Chai Lifeline. I believe Torah Anytime gets one day. Many of the well-known tzedakahs, some perhaps others are not familiar with. And this way, every day a person is contributing to tzedakah, including Shabbos, and it makes sure that a person is attached to this mitzvah every single day. I was asked to say that I joined myself just so that if anybody needs an endorsement, and I actually get a big thrill every day. I get an email where the tzedakah goes. Okay, so I want to take you now to the site, rabbidg.com. I want to share with you, as we've mentioned, if you on the site you could subscribe and get the weekly Divrei Torah, both in English and in Lashon HaKodesh, and all the other information that is offered over here. You could, while on the site, you could listen to every week their Shiurim on the Parsha, the Ramban, the Baal HaTurim, the Ben La'ashri, and a number of other features. This morning I got a call. Somebody was interested in listening to Shiurim on Rabbi Yehuda HaChassid. So actually, let me show you something here. Here. So you go to the site, and you go to classes. It's actually pretty amazing. You go to series, multi-part series. Okay, Last Will and Testament, Rabbi Yehuda HaChassid. Click here, and you get all the shiurim on Rabbi Yehuda HaChassid. So there should actually be 14 parts, but what are you going to do? Okay, be it as it may, there are many features on the site that you could check out. I want to share with you a number of Divrei Torah. Let's go firstly to the English sheet. I'm just going to share with you one thing from here. And then there are amazing things from the Ben La'ashri this week. Let's see. Do you see that? Is that coming up? Okay. So I'm going to share with you an amazing Chassam Sofer. The Chassam Sofer is commenting on the secret of the word mitzvah. It says about the king, Levilti rum levavai me'achav, so his heart is not made arrogant over his brethren. Levilti surmin ha-mitzvah yamin asmal, and so he doesn't turn away from the mitzvah, right or left. Laman yarich yamim al mamlachtoi hu uvanav b'karv Yisrael, so that he lengthens his day in his kingdom, him and his children, in midst of Israel. The Chassam Sofer uncovers an amazing remez in the word mitzvah. It says, so he doesn't become arrogant, and so that he doesn't turn away from the mitzvah, yamin usmal, right or left. Okay. So, Ulevilti sormin ha-mitzvah, yamin usmal. And the Chassam Sofer uncovers a remez in the word mitzvah, that the word mitzvah is composed of two parts. You have the ma, and you have the word sav. Ma represents humility, like in the pasuk, v'nachnu ma, what are we? Rashi comments, ma anachnu chashuvin, of what importance are we? On the other hand, sav represents gaiva and avodah zarah. The Gemara says, vayitzav refers to when Hashem commanded Adam HaRishon not to worship idols. So if you look at the word mitzvah, in the middle you have tzav, and on the extremes you have ma. And therefore, we want to make sure that a person, the king, is not arrogant, because one who is arrogant, it's as if they worshipped idols. So how do we make sure you don't turn away from a mitzvah? Don't go to the right or to the left of the word mitzvah. Don't turn from the mem on the right or the hey on the left, meaning don't turn from what's levilti sur, from the word mitzvah, from what's on the right or the left side. because if you go away from the mem on the right side or the hey on the left side, then you're left with the tzav in the middle, which tzav is avodah zarah. Okay, if I could show you a few ideas on this week's Ben La'ashri. Let's see. Okay, number one, Shoftim v'shoitrim. So the Ben La'ashri says, amazingly, Shoftim v'shoitrim is Rashi Tevois v'Soifei Tevois. Let's add it up. Shin and Mem is 340. Vav and Mem is 46. 386. The gematria of the Rashi Tevois and Soifei Tevois of Shoftim v'shoitrim is David ben Yishai. Now, why is there a remez to David ben Yishai in this week's Parsha? Well, because we learn Shoftim in the beginning of Elul when we start saying LeDavid Hashem Oiri v'Yishi. Therefore, we have a remez to David ben Yishai here in the beginning of Chodesh Elul. Okay, we forging right ahead. This is beautiful. Shoftim v'shoitrim titen lecha. Why lecha? Should say Shoftim v'shoitrim titen b'chol sharecha. Why titen lecha? Asher Hashem Elokecha noisein lach lishvatecha v'shaftu es ha'am mishpat tzedek. Shoftim v'shoitrim titen lecha b'chol sha'arecha asher Hashem Elokecha noisein lecha lishvatecha v'shaftu es ha'am mishpat tzedek. Why does it say the word lecha? It should say Shoftim v'shoitrim titen b'chol sha'arecha. Another question is, what does it mean b'chol sha'arecha in all of your gates? So Rashi says it means in all of your cities. So it should have said Shoftim v'shoitrim titen b'chol arecha. What's she'arecha? And then, interesting, it says the beginning of the pasuk is written b'lashon noichach. It's addressing you. Titen lecha b'chol sha'arecha asher Hashem Elokecha noisein lach. And then it says v'shaftu es ha'am, they will judge. Why? All of a sudden does the pasuk switch to nistar, to v'shaftu es ha'am mishpat tzedek. Now, the Ben La'ashri says as follows. We know that the way we judge other people is the way the Rebbeinu Shalom judges us. So basically, we are our own judge, because the way we evaluate someone else is really how the Rebbeinu Shalom will evaluate us. So the pasuk could be read as follows: Shoftim v'shoitrim titen lecha. Judges you should make lecha, for your own benefit. This command of how to judge people is for your own benefit, because the way you look at someone else, the way you judge someone else, is how the Rebbeinu Shalom will look at you. So this is like when Rashi says in Parshas lech lecha, lahanoscha, for your own benefit and your own pleasure. Here also, Shoftim v'shoitrim titen lecha b'chol sha'arecha. B'chol sha'arecha means in your own. Titen lecha. Firstly, this should be for you. This is for your own benefit and for your own service, and you should do it b'chol sha'arecha. The sha'arecha could mean in every estimation that you make, in every hashara that you make. Shoftim v'shoitrim, judges and rulers, you should make b'chol sha'arecha, in all of your evaluations. Whenever you look at other people, you should judge them lecha. It should be for your benefit. It should be in a way that will bring you success. Because if you judge other people favorably, then God will judge you favorably. And therefore the pasuk ends, V'shaftu es ha'am mishpat tzedek. They will judge the people. They, meaning HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the Pamal Yoshamala. If you are Shoftim v'shoitrim titen lecha, if you are careful to judge other people favorably, b'chol sharecha, asher Hashem Elokecha noisein lach, then v'shaftu es ha'am mishpat tzedek. They will judge the people righteously. Okay. Now, in Parshas here's another amazing approach of the Ben La'ashri. This is really absolutely spectacular. Soim tasim alecha melech asher yivchar Hashem lekecha boy mikerav achecha loisuchal laseis alecha ish nachri asher lo yachichahu rak lo yarbe lo susim nashim v'lo yasur levavai. Question number one, and all the Mefarshim ask this question: what's soim tasim alecha melech? Why tasim? Why lashon, a double lashon? Som tasim. It should say tasim alecha melech. Furthermore, it says, who's going to make? Asher yivchar Hashem lekecha bay. That God will select. And then it says, do not place a foreigner on the throne. You cannot place on yourself a foreigner that is not your brother's. Okay. Says the Ben La'ashri, an amazing thing. He says, the Mefarshim ask, why does it say Soim Tasim? Why Soim Tasim? Number two, and this is the big question. How could it say you cannot place a foreigner as the king, but it just said before God will select the king? So whoever God selects, he'll be the king. Isn't it contradictory? First we say the king will be who God selects. So then why does it have to say don't place a foreigner? If God places a foreigner, then we don't have a choice. So the Ben La'ashri offers a revolutionary understanding of the mitzvah of appointing a melech. There are two mitzvahs. One mitzvah is soim, and another mitzvah is tasim. One mitzvah is soim, continually, and one is in the future. The mitzvah of soim is a mitzvah that we should place a king for the Malchus Beis David. However, God knows that in the future the other Shvatim will secede from the union, and they will appoint their own king who's not from the Malchus Beis David. And that king, we have to make sure, is not a foreigner, cannot be from a Gentile. So we read the pasuk like this. Soim, one mitzvah is to appoint the king of the Malchus Beis David, and that is a continuous mitzvah that should continue on and on. However, in a future date, tasim, there will be a time where you will have to appoint someone, and you will appoint someone who's not from the Malchus Beis David, but he's not someone who I selected. Then the pasuk says like this. If the king is Asher Yivchar Hashem, that's referring to the mitzvah of appointing a king for the Malchus Beis David. However, when it comes to appointing someone who will be from the Aseres Hashvatim, who is not from the Malchus Beis David, and he is not someone who Hashem selected, at the very least, he should be Loi Sucha Losei Solecha Ish Nachri Asher Lo Yachichahu. In other words, we have two mitzvahs in the Torah. One is the mitzvah of soim, which refers to appointing someone from the Malchus Beis David, and that is someone that the Rebbeinu Shem selected. He's the Melech Asher Yivchar Hashem Lekecha Bay. And the second one is Loisucha Laseis Alecha Ish Nachri Asher Loi Achichahu. You cannot appoint on yourself a foreigner that is not your brother. However, it just says Rak Lo Yarbe Lo Susim V'Lo Yasur Es Levavai. Now the Ben La'ashri says his biggest chiddush of all. Chazal tell us that Shlomo HaMelech, he says, even though the Torah says don't take a lot of wives, but that's only because they might turn away your heart. I will marry more wives, and they will not turn away my heart. So the Ben La'ashri asks, why didn't anyone say anything to Shlomo? Why didn't the Sanhedrin stop him? Why didn't anyone stop Shlomo when he married too many wives? Doesn't the Torah say explicitly, Lo yarbe lo inashim, v'lo yaser es levavai? So the Ben La'ashri says his biggest chiddush of all. And that is there are two mitzvahs. One is the mitzvah of Soim, one is the mitzvah of Tasim. One is the mitzvah to appoint someone from the Malchus Beis David, and one is, upon the secession of the 10 tribes, to appoint a king as long as they're not a foreigner. Therefore, says the Ben La'ashri, it could be the prohibition of Lo yarbe lo inoshim, the Lo yarbe lo kesef, and the Lo yarbe lo susim, that's only going on the kings from the 10 tribes. But the kings of the Malchus Beis David, who anyway God selected them, so they have an special siyata d'shmaya, to them the Rebbeinu Shalom never ever commanded, lo yarbe lo nashim, lo yarbe lo kesef, lo yarbe lo susim. There are two mitzvahs here. The mitzvah that to appoint someone from the Malchus Beis David, God selects them, so they're protected. But the mitzvah of don't appoint a foreigner from the Aser Hashvatim, those kings are more in danger and liable to succumb. They have to be careful. Lo yarbe lo kesef, lo yarbe lo sus, lo yarbe lo isha, which, by the way, the Kliyakar says is Rashi Teva's kisei. If he does that, he will be yarech yamim al kisei mamlachtoi. Okay, now.
So the Rabbi, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Rabbi?
Yeah.
Okay, don't we know that supposedly the first Mashiach is going to be from Beis Yosef before the Shiur ben David?
Okay.
So how do we reconcile then, the fact that we're actually pointing the king, that's from the...
Doesn't mean he's going to be a melech.
Okay.
Does it say he's going to be a melech? He can be a... Okay.
Okay.
Now, one last offering. This is interesting observation and juxtaposition, and if you look in Perek Yud Zayin Pasuk Chav, where it talks about the length of days of the Melech, that if the Melech follows these precepts, he will have a long Malchus. The Pasuk says, Laman Yarech Yamim Al Mamlachtoi, and then right after that is the psukim about the Kohanim and the Levium. So what's the connection between the king living long and the Kohanim and the Levium? So the Ben Lashri says you could darshan the juxtaposition. It's coming to be merames to the Malchus Beis Chashmonai, that they, in contradistinction to the Malchus Beis David, their reign will not last long. And perhaps that's why it says by the king, hu ubanav, him and his sons, to indicate that the Kohanim, the Bnei Matisyahu, that reign will only last for 2 generations, namely Matisyahu Ubanav. Okay, so these are a few offerings on the Parsha. If you want to hear all of the... let's see. We did... So if you want to hear all the offerings of the Ben Lashri, and I highly recommend it, there's some amazing diyukim in unusual things that the Targum says. You could go to our site and see the whole shiur on the Ben Lashri this week. Okay, we're going to start the Tefillah shiur imminently. Okay.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.